1995. Michael Westerman is driving with his girlfriend when he's pursued by several carloads of black teenagers and is shot and killed. The incident is believed to have happened because of the numerous Confederate battle flags that decorated Westerman's truck. Because of this, his funeral, as author Tony Horowitz described, truly took on an air of a Confederate hero's memorial. Westerman's coffin was covered by a Confederate battle flag, and he was pronounced as a martyr and the first man to die under the Confederate battle flag in 130 years.
What does the Confederate battle flag symbolize? Is it a symbol of racism and hatred, as some would suggest, of treason? Or does it symbolize pride in a region and its history? What about resistance to a tyrannical government? The Confederate battle flag has its origins in the American Civil War.
It's important to remember that what's commonly referred to as the Confederate flag is not actually the national flag of the Confederate States of America. The first official flag of the Confederacy looked much different and was known as the Stars and Bars. It was discarded because it looked too much like the American flag and caused confusion on the battlefield. The Stars and Bars was replaced on the battlefield by the flag that everyone recognizes today, while the national flag began incorporating the battle flag into their new designs.
The Confederate battle flag thus became a symbol of everything that the South was fighting for, or what people believed it was fighting for. After the war, the battle flag continued to be used by Confederate veteran groups as a symbol of their lost cause. The flag was used unofficially by some soldiers from the South serving in World War II, and continues to be used by individual soldiers and some units of mostly Southern origin. For these individuals, the flag did not represent the racist ideals of the South, but rather pride and honor in their heritage as Southerners.
In the case of Michael Westerman, his family stated that the flag was an expression of his personality as a rebel and pride in being from the South. His high school's mascot was two Confederate soldiers' battle flags. There was no mention of any racial tendencies demonstrated by Westerman.
This idea is shared by many other Southerners. They believe that the flag is a symbol of regional pride and they are proud of their history. The Confederate battle flag can be seen outside many homes, on many vehicles, and even on many articles of clothing. Contrary to what one might expect, this view is not just held by white people.
In 2011, Breon Thomas, a black student at the University of South Carolina, was upset when the university forced him to take down his Confederate battle flag. In response, he posted a video online stating that while he admitted it may be weird, quote, "I don't see the racism. I see respect, Southern pride." The university was forced to let him put the flag back up after an outpouring of support.
Naturally, the majority of similar incidents occur in the South, the flag's home, but there have been debates over public displays of the Confederate battle flag in northern states as well. The belief of the flag as a symbol of heritage is even supported by several state governments.
Up until 2001, the Confederate battle flag took up a large part of the Georgia state flag, and it's still seen in the Mississippi state flag, and it's flown above the State House in South Carolina, despite numerous calls to have that particular flag removed. Now, this particular issue has even drawn the attention of certain presidential hopefuls in this year's race. Former Governor Mitt Romney is on record as saying that the flag should not be flown, but former Speaker of the House Newt Gingrich is on record as saying that it should be. Now, these states argue the same thing as people like Westerman and Byron Thomas in that the flag does not represent hate and racism, it represents Southern heritage and pride.
States and individuals are not the only ones who believe the Confederate battle flag to be a symbol of pride and heritage. This position is very common among extremist groups like the Ku Klux Klan.
KKK consists of hundreds of different groups. They're not necessarily united in terms of ideology or location, but the vast majority of them hold the Confederate battle flag as a symbol of Southern heritage. Much of their online merchandise features slogans with the flag saying, "Heritage, not hate," "Keep it flying," "Property of the Confederate States of America." One KKK chapter states that the Confederate battle flag is a symbol against the resistance of tyranny, states' rights, and against political correctness. They say the flag is a sign of honor, not of racism or slavery.
To others, the Confederate battle flag is a much more sinister and dark meaning. To many, it represents the slavery and racism of the antebellum South, and the racist attitudes towards blacks since then.
The man who chased down Michael Westerman did so because they viewed the flag as a racist symbol. They could not have cared less about it possibly being a representation of his personality or a symbol of Southern pride. They recognized it as a symbol of racist attitudes and took it personally. And it's important to remember that it's not just blacks killing whites because of the flag. Numerous people or groups have killed blacks over it as well.
The Anti-Defamation League has the Confederate battle flag listed on its database of hate symbols. They state that it is used by racists and white supremacists to promote the idea of white supremacy over blacks. Now, what's interesting about this is that the Anti-Defamation League, the ADL, usually only deals with cases of anti-Semitism, yet to this group this is still a racist symbol that encourages hate.
The NAACP has spent years trying to get South Carolina to stop flying the Confederate battle flag over the State House. They haven't succeeded, but they've certainly drawn attention to it. The NAACP has even called for a boycott of South Carolina until the flag was removed. But that's not just the only activity in South Carolina. They're active all over the United States, wherever the Confederate battle flag is displayed publicly, trying to do the same thing, stop it from being displayed, and get people to recognize it is a symbol of hatred.
These organizations are not alone in their stance. The American Civil Liberties Union recently forced the Louisiana State Courthouse to stop flying the flag, stating that it prevented the death penalty from being administered fairly, and supported violence towards blacks. This varies greatly from an incident in the 1970s in which the ACLU fought to continue the public display of another hate symbol, the swastika. They often team up with the NAACP to have Confederate battle flags removed.
September 12, 2010 was proclaimed to be Burn the Confederate Flag Day. The event's organizers said they were burning the flag because it was a long-time symbol of racial hatred. This was not organized by a group like the NAACP or the ADL or any other national group. This was put together by average American citizens.
But some people have other reasons for disapproving of the Confederate battle flag.
Some people feel that the Confederate battle flag represents treason. It is the flag of a society that first seceded from and then attacked the United States. The South committed treason when they left the Union. Professor Todd Breida, who teaches classes on the Civil War at Northwestern Connecticut Community College, said that as a history professor, the battle flag to him symbolizes, quote, the continuation of an outmoded labor system that every other nation in Western civilization had dismissed. It symbolizes the waste of 635,000 lives and countless dollars. He added that, quote, as an American with 2 relatives who served in the Union Army, I see the battle flag and all of its related incarnations as a symbol of treason and a symbol of pro-slavery philosophy.
The United States is clearly divided over the Confederate battle flag. A Gallup poll conducted in 2000 showed that only 46% of Americans believed that the flag should be allowed to be flown. However, 59% said that the flag represented Southern pride, with 28% saying it symbolized racism. Although the number of people against the Confederate battle flag may appear low, those percentages had both increased since the previous poll in 1990. But why is this important?
This controversy over the Confederate battle flag is important because of the racial factor behind it. Because it is viewed as a symbol of racism and is used by racist groups, it encourages racial tension and violence.
People have died for that flag. They may not have willingly done so, but they have. People have also been killed by it. I'm not just referring to the Civil War. There have been numerous hate crimes involving the flag since the war ended at Appomattox in 1865, and they're still happening.
Even if you take the racial factor away from the whole thing, there's still a controversy. You have to remember that the original purpose of that flag was to symbolize a nation that was waging a treasonous war against the United States. The original people who supported that flag were traitors. Now, does that mean that the people who fly now supported are traitors? Well, they certainly claim to take pride in the actions and beliefs of traitors. Taking pride in defying and betraying your government is dangerous, especially in a time like now where the country is so polarized on numerous political issues.
No matter what your opinion is concerning the Confederate battle flag, this much is clear. The controversy over it remains an important factor in modern society. For something that in reality is only a piece of cloth, the Confederate battle flag holds deep meaning for everyone. Thank you.